Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Do us a favor before we start and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future deep dives. Now let's dive into a topic that's important for everyone, especially if you're a UPSC aspirant, a student, or just living in the digital world: cybersecurity. Specifically, cybersecurity in India. The threats, the safeguards, and how India is cooperating on a global scale. It's obviously the cybersecurity chapter from your GS3 internal security notes, but way more interesting. Just think every time you're on your phone on Wi-Fi or buying groceries online, you're in this world of cybersecurity. And to help us through this digital maze, we have the amazing expert speaker with us today.
Glad to be here. It's true, cybersecurity isn't just for the tech people anymore, it's for everyone.
Exactly. So before we get into it, let's start with the basics. Our sources define cybersecurity as the techniques of protecting computers, networks, programs, and data from unauthorized access or attacks that are aimed at exploitation. Sounds simple, right?
Well, the definition may sound simple, but the reality is much more complicated. It's like this traditional security is like guarding a building. You have walls guards and you can see who's trying to get in. But cybersecurity is like trying to secure this huge invisible network with tons of entry points. The threats are always changing. The attackers could be anywhere, and you might not even know you've been attacked until it's too late.
That's a great way to put it. It really shows you how tough cybersecurity is.
So let's talk about those challenges, the cyber threats themselves. Our sources list a bunch of them, from cyber terrorism and attacks on critical infrastructure like power grids and hospitals to data breaches that steal our personal info. It's like a whole new battlefield, but instead of bombs and soldiers, it's malware and hackers.
Yeah. And why people attack can be very different. Some hackers want money, others want political change. And then there are countries that do cyber espionage or even cyber warfare.
It's kind of scary that someone far away could disrupt our lives just by typing on a keyboard. And it's not just a what if. Remember WannaCry back in 2017? It shut down hospitals, businesses, and government systems all over the world, even in India. And it all started because someone didn't update their Windows.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was a big deal.
It was. And it shows that even forgetting to update your computer can have huge consequences when it comes to cybersecurity. Speaking of India, our sources say India is actually pretty vulnerable in this digital world.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. What's India's situation in all of this?
Well, the Global Information Security Survey says India is one of the top targets for cyber attacks. And the World Economic Forum has talked about all the cyber attacks India has had and how India needs better cybersecurity.
So it sounds like we're a big target.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh.
And there are a few reasons for that. India is going digital really fast and more people are online, which means there are more ways to attack. We're also using more and more critical information infrastructure like power grids, banking systems, and communication networks. And if those get attacked, it could really hurt the country.
It's like we're building this awesome digital highway, but forgetting to put up any guardrails.
That's a good way to say it. And anything can be a target, from military stuff and government secrets to our bank info and even things like air traffic control systems. Yeah, it is kind of scary. But it's not all bad. India is doing things to improve its cybersecurity.
That's good to hear. So what are they doing? Our sources talk about a two-pronged approach: institutional and legislative measures.
Right. Let's start with the institutions. India has been building up its cybersecurity, putting together special agencies and programs to watch for threats, respond to incidents, and make our digital infrastructure stronger.
Okay, so who are the main players in this digital defense force?
Well, one of the biggest is the National Cyber Coordination Center, or NCCC. It's like the central nervous system for cybersecurity in India. It watches internet traffic, looks for anything suspicious, and sends real-time alerts to different security agencies.
So they're like the cybersecurity watchdogs, always looking out for trouble.
Exactly. And then there's the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERT-In. They're the ones on the front lines when something happens. They deal with cybersecurity incidents, send out alerts, coordinate with everyone involved, and basically try to keep everything running smoothly.
I also read about something called the Cyber Swastika Kendra. What's that?
Ah, the Cyber Swachh, which means Cyber Hygiene Center. It's basically a center that cleans up botnets and analyzes malware. You see, botnets are networks of infected computers that can be used to launch huge attacks, and malware is any harmful software that tries to mess up computer systems.
So it's like a digital cleaning crew getting rid of all the bad stuff that could infect our devices.
Exactly. And CERT-In also does a lot to teach people about cyber threats and how to stay safe online, which is really important.
Right, because even the best security systems won't work if people aren't careful. But it's not just about reacting to threats, is it? India is also taking steps to protect important areas like defense and finance.
Absolutely. We have the Defense Cyber Agency, which focuses on protecting military networks and systems. And then there's FinCERT, which is all about keeping the financial sector safe. These specialized agencies are really important for making sure our critical infrastructure can handle attacks.
So it sounds like India is building a pretty impressive cybersecurity arsenal. But what about the laws? What kind of laws are there to stop cybercrime and protect people's rights?
Well, the main law in India for cybersecurity is the Information Technology Act of 2000. It was updated in 2008 to specifically deal with cyber terrorism and cybercrime.
And what are some of the key parts of this act?
It makes things like hacking, stealing data, spreading malware, and harassing people online illegal. It also sets up cyber appellate tribunals to handle cybercrime cases and lays out the rules for investigating and prosecuting these crimes.
So it's like the rule book for cyberspace in India. It makes it clear what you can and can't do.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But it's also important to remember that any law about cyberspace has to find a balance between security and freedom. Our sources talk about a big case, Shreya Singhal v. Union of India, which ended up getting rid of Section 66A of the IT Act.
I remember reading about that. What was Section 66A about, and why was it so controversial?
Well, people didn't like Section 66A because it was really broad and vague. It let the police arrest people for online posts that they thought were offensive or annoying, even if they weren't really dangerous. The Supreme Court decided that it went against the right to free speech.
So it's tricky to keep people safe online without stopping them from saying what they want.
It is, and it's only going to get harder as technology changes. That's why the government keeps updating the IT Act and making new laws to keep up with all the new things happening in cybersecurity.
Speaking of new laws, our sources mentioned the Personal Data Protection Bill, which seems pretty important now that everything's about data.
Definitely. This bill is trying to create a whole system for protecting data in India. It says what personal data is, what rights people have over their data, and what responsibilities organizations have when they collect and use personal data.
So it's about giving people more control over their own information, which seems like a big deal since we're sharing more and more of our lives online.
Exactly. And one of the most important things about this bill is the right to be forgotten. This means people can ask for their personal data to be removed from websites under certain circumstances. Like if the data isn't relevant anymore or if they don't want the website to use it anymore.
That's interesting. So if there's an embarrassing picture of me from high school online, I could ask for it to be taken down.
That's the idea, although they're still figuring out exactly how it would work and when you can use this, right? But it shows that people are starting to realize how important it is to protect personal data in the digital age.
All of this really makes you realize that cybersecurity isn't just an issue for India. It's a global thing. What about working together with other countries? What are some of the ways countries are trying to deal with this together?
You're right. It's definitely a global thing that needs everyone to work together. Our sources talk about a few key initiatives to tackle this. One that stands out is the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime.
What's that all about?
The Budapest Convention is the first international treaty to deal with cybercrime. It tries to get countries to agree on laws, improve how they investigate cybercrime, and encourage countries to work together. It covers all sorts of cybercrime from hacking and data theft to child pornography and cyber terrorism.
So it's like a worldwide rule book for fighting cybercrime so countries can team up to catch the bad guys.
Yeah, you could say that. It gives countries a common framework so they can work together on investigations and prosecutions no matter where the cyber criminals are.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So is India part of this convention?
Not yet. Over 60 countries have signed on, but India hasn't. There are discussions going on about what it would mean for India, especially about data sovereignty and how it might affect our laws.
It sounds like a big decision with a lot to think about. But it's clear that working together is really important in this fight against cybercrime. What are some other international initiatives that are doing good work?
Another important one is the Global Center for Cybersecurity. The World Economic Forum started this, and it's a place where governments, businesses, experts, and law enforcement can come together to talk about cybersecurity challenges and find solutions.
So it's like a global think tank for cybersecurity with all the best minds working together.
Exactly. And then there's the Commonwealth Cyber Declaration. This came out of a meeting of Commonwealth leaders back in 2018. It's a promise from these countries to improve their own cybersecurity work together on cybercrime investigations and make cyberspace more stable.
All these initiatives really show that no one country can handle cybersecurity on its own. Everyone needs to be involved.
Absolutely. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility, and countries need to work together to build a digital world that's safer and more resilient.
Well, expert speaker, this has been a really eye-opening look at the world of cybersecurity. We've covered so much from the different types of cyber threats and how vulnerable India is to what India is doing about it and why global cooperation is so important. It's a lot to take in, but it's clear that cybersecurity is something we all need to know about and be a part of.
I agree. It's not just about governments and tech experts. We all have to do our part to protect ourselves and our information online.
Absolutely. And for all you UPSC aspirants listening, think of this as a fun crash course on the cybersecurity chapter for your GS3 internal security notes. It's way more interesting than reading a textbook, right?
Yeah.
So the next time you see a question about the Budapest Convention or CERT-In, you'll know what they're all about.
I hope so.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell for more deep dives into all sorts of interesting topics. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe online.